Well, it's a hard act to follow with Rick, but welcome everybody. My name's Salmore, and I'm the CEO of a company in Los Angeles called Marketingworks. And what we're going to talk about is a little bit different than what probably you've heard most of today, having to do with, either the concept of or how to produce or how to distribute DRTV, either long form or short form. What we're going to talk about is what is a growing area of interest to people who are in the marketing space, and it's essentially understanding web monitoring and how to make it work for you in terms of your business. Before we get into this, is there anybody here who uses web analytics, web monitoring, web auditing to understand better their business? One person? Two people? Okay, a fair amount of people. As the industry starts to develop and as online sales, particularly through websites and blogs and Facebook and the like, continue to grow, the idea of being able to understand where your community is and who they are is really important. So really what we're going to talk about is sort of the opportunity to gather the insights, how the data can be collected, what the basic online discussions are and how to evaluate that so it's helpful and identify your audience. In a sense, if you will, it's a poor man's focus group of millions, which you don't have to pay for. You don't have to give them $75 in a Danish, and get a prejudiced response rate. It also gives an idea of the relationship between the profile and also the conversion, what the opportunities are, what the competitive landscape looks like, what the forces are, and ways which company can actually use these. If by the way, if I'm too technical in this, just shout me down. I got lots of raw, ripe fruit in the back there that you can use. Okay, what is monitoring? Essentially what it is it's tools and technology that crawl the web based on putting in information, keywords in any language, but for the moment, let's assume it's going to be in English. And what it does is it spiders the web and pulls out and extracts those conversations that are already taking place. It's not a way to influence people, it's a way to gather market research in a very effective way. And basically this can be used for any number of purposes, and I'm really surprised that the DR TV business doesn't rely more on this. I know they will be. Okay. Basically, how does it work for your industry? Essentially, you understand what people are saying about existing products, your product. You can sort of even use it to evaluate dry testing without the cost of expensive TV. If there's any issues around, let's say, certain products or pharmaceutical ingredients or even previous campaigns for other similar kinds of products, you can go in and evaluate all of that. So essentially what it does is it gives you an opportunity to really understand your market before you go out, and even it can help you define your selection of products. Now, one of the things we do, but everybody else, including yourselves, is you would assemble keywords which sort of talk about, let's say for example was proactive. Is Justin Bieber the right person to be identified with the product? You can find that out. What is proactive compared with all the other ingredients that are out in the marketplace? You can find that out. You can also find out what people think of the product, whether they're satisfied with it, whether even talking about other opportunities, come up with additional new products and all that. That's what comes out of keywords. And the whole purpose of this essentially is you want to find the influencers. You want to find the people who are out there talking the loudest, who have the loudest readership or the communities that they're involved with, how large those people are, where they go after a leading person has talked about some subject, let's say, for example, proactive, and where they're hiving, what influence they have, and extracting out, if you will, the information that's going to be useful when you go out and sell the product, either through online or broadcast. Now, as far as web monitoring, there's a process to it. You can't just, it's like, if you go about it the wrong way, it's like taking Jell-O, having it fall out of the jar, and trying to clean it all up. So what you need to do is be sensitive to what keywords you put in, where you go in terms of spidering that out, whether it's, you want to do it across the entire span of the web. You want to harvest that information, then you want to filter it down. We're doing a project right now for AARP to understand what grandparents are saying about their grandchildren, and grandchildren conversely about their grandparents. And there's been literally millions of conversations that take place. So obviously you can't deal with millions. You have to sort of keep refining it down until you come up with something that's helpful in terms of the analysis. You want to make sure that when you do this, you're basically able to measure and monitor all of these things. If anybody here wants, this deck afterwards, just see me and I'll be happy to send this over to you. But as you can see, you really want to make sure that you're evaluating every component of what's online, because these people are unbiased and they're going to tell you exactly what they think about a product or a service. You also want to make sure that you can get reports that are relevant, either for yourself or, if you're an agency, for your clients. You want to make sure that you can provide them with an understanding of what's being said and all that. Once again, we've been doing this for a long time, so if you guys want us to send you any examples of campaigns and reports and all that, we're happy to do it. Now, beyond the analysis, okay, you pick up all this great information. So what? At the end of the day, it's an intellectual exercise unless you put it to good use. So essentially, what you want to do is figure out how to make these tools work for you in terms of being proactive. Whether you go out and target those key influencers, the bloggers, and tell them a bit about your product, whether you want to give them a taste of the spots you have. You want to try to gather up and build a database so you have something that goes beyond just the people who've called in. You also want to make sure that you can build like newsletters or anything to continue that conversation beyond just the initial sell. Now, I know this all sounds sort of complicated if you've never used any of these tools, but there are a lot of free tools out there, so you can kick the tires. If you Google for, social media or web analytic tools, you'll see there's a lot of them. Some are free and some are not. The lighter the tools, the less historic, the less depth, the less detail. It's like you can get the car with the 4-cylinder engine, or you can get the Ferrari with the 12-cylinder. They're different cars, even though they do basically the same thing. Now, what if I want more insights and data than just free? Well, if you go online, you'll find that there's a number of companies who will be happy to take your money. 3 minutes, okay. Some of the companies listed down here are, they're all superb, and they can run you up to like $250,000 a year. They're good if you're Disney, but they don't necessarily work if you're, an independent trying to produce some new product. But they are in the marketplace. I suggest that you take a look at everything that's out there, free and otherwise, before you decide how you want to do it and road test them. Obviously, you get what you pay for. Once again, if you want the leather interior, it'll be a nicer ride, but on the other hand, do you want just, cloth seats? So there are all these different levels. There's new tools coming out all the time. Sometimes what you want to do is integrate some of the paid tools with some of the free tools so you get every bit of your needs covered. And, I suggest that whatever you do, you talk to people in the industry who do this for a living and give you an idea of what the opportunities are, how it may best work for you, and, try it out. Because you'll find it's like being able to look over the fence. A lot of people get into the DRTV business with gut feeling. Well, it goes a lot further than that these days. So using, web monitoring tools really helps. And that's basically it. I know Vi wanted me to finish, so I'm finished. Any questions? At least Rick got 2 people to ask questions. So, yes, sir. It's hard to hear you because...
What do you charge for your web monitoring searches?
Well, it depends on whether we're just doing web monitoring for a standalone concept or if it's part of what our core business is, which is the engagement. So we would do, both that, research, strategy, and activation. It runs anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000. AARP has a lot more money than most people can afford this. So what we try to do is really just evaluate and get a better sense of how we could be helpful with people, because if you don't do a great job, they won't come back. So if you charge them 50 or you charge them 5, But we use a whole suite of expensive licensed tools, so we can go back, 5 years. We could find out what Dyson slice machines were out there before, what the price points were, what people liked about them, what they didn't, those kind of things in terms of if that's the kind of product that you're anticipating selling. Anybody else? All that ripe fruit's going to go to waste if you don't start throwing it up here. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chaz.